Can share, it's that time of day again, and it's Big Phil Live. I hope you all had a great weekend. A few things to talk about today. Quite a lot still going on in the press, military-wise. So let's get this liked and shared. Let's get it out there. I'll like and share it, get the formalities over with, and then we'll get on with it. Inshallah, as they say. If I can even find myself. Here I am. I'm on. Right, okay, let me get sharing. Share to a page. Not even had my tea tonight, I've been so busy today. And Wendy's making me a quick sandwich. Which would be nice. Do like a sandwich. It's all right. Okay, share now. Any more pages that I need to do? What group should I put it in? Let's put it in there. Okay, right, let's get that liked and shared. I can see the audience is building up already. It's Monday. Usually have a good crowd on Monday. You haven't seen me all weekend, have you? It's been a great weekend for me. What did I get up to? Do you know what? I can't remember already. That's how good it was. Yeah, a great weekend. Okay, before we go anywhere then, I've got Ex-SAS Orange, which is some of our Royal Marines friends, ex-Royal Marines. They're walking 2,200 kilometres for the Royal Marines charity and Veterans for Wildlife charity. So that's ex-Royal Marines, Ex-SAS Orange. So I think Wendy's going to bung a link up at some stage. Have a butcher's at that. Donate if you like, of course. Won't stop you, will I? I'll encourage you. I'll actively encourage you to donate for the great cause. And like I say, 2,200 kilometres. Should be able to knock off a few stone if I went on that one, shouldn't I? Jesus, that's a long old way that is. But there you go. Wendy will post a link, or it'll be on my social media at Big Phil Campion. Anything to do with Big Phil Campion. And the link will be on there somewhere, so we'll find that. And well done to those ex-Royal Marines taking part in that great hoofing effort, I think the Marines say. Hoofing. Hoofing effort from our Royal Marine friends. So awesome. So we like a bit of that. Okay, what we got this week then? We've got unboxing with the Princess of Wales's Royal Regiment on Wednesday, so I'm hoping to show a little bit of that if they'll let me. That'll be a live show. I've got a book review this week. I'm going to talk about the book review later on, but we're going to have a quick butchers at that. Got a few bits and pieces to talk about with Bob Curry today. And I actually met up with Bob today, so I had a quick chat with him about his current situation, and obviously he's been plastered all over the newspapers, and he's been with Piers Morgan, and everybody wants to interview him at the moment. Okay, so I spoke with Bob. All things are looking good. We'll have a quick chat about that in a minute. SOFREP TV, don't forget SOFREP TV, SOFREP blogs, the whole thing. Go to sofrep.com on Facebook or sofrep.com in general. Go and have a butcher's. There's some great stuff on there. The stuff that caught my eye today was there was a piece on boulder cases. Now, they're like the old Pelly cases. It's another make. They've done a rating on them. They've written them up. They've had a look at them. They've trialled them out. So have a look at that, because that was quite interesting. The US is swapping some planes out from its North Korea fleet, whoever's over in that neck of the woods, and they've gone from bombers to nuclear capability bombers, apparently. So that's an interesting piece to read. So have a butcher's at that. And like I say, all these pieces are written by guys who've been there, seen it and done it, and they know all about what they're talking about. So it's great stuff. China, listening devices being planted in and around the area. That's interesting as well. The old Chinese, you knew they could be a bit sneaky beaky, didn't you? So they're out there listening. Of course they want a piece of the action, the Chinese. It's all going off on their back garden, isn't it? So they want to know what's happening. So that's worth a butcher's. And there's a piece on the Hotel Intercontinental in Kabul, which has probably seen just about as many firefights as any hotel in the world, because that has. I mean, when it all booted off in Kabul the first time round, and they were all sat on top of the hotel, and then there's a couple of times where it's been run over and run back again and run forwards, and it's in the news again because some terrorist types have been in there brassing the place up and generally making nuisances of themselves. So that's in there as well. There's a piece written about the hotel. I mean, I've been in that hotel loads of times. I've stayed in that hotel back in the day when I was over there. So yeah, interesting to see that it's still never far from the news. The Hotel Intercon in Kabul. What a place that is. Fucking hell, that's got to be on your top 10 of most dangerous hotels, isn't it? Without a doubt. Okay, I'm going to wet your lips a little bit. All right. Now, a good friend of mine. I'm going to read you a little bit about who he is, this geezer. Phenomenal geezer. Honestly, James Deegan, MC. Spent 5 years in the Parachute Regiment and 17 years in the SAS. He served for most of that time in a Sabre squadron, from trooper to squadron sergeant major. So he's done all the jobs. He's been there, seen it. This truly is a remarkable man. Here we go. What else has he done? He saw almost continuous operational service in Northern Ireland, Balkans, Africa, Iraq, Afghanistan and elsewhere. He fought in both Gulf Wars and was on both occasions amongst the first coalition soldiers to cross the border into Iraq. Twice decorated for gallantry, he was described by his commanding officer as one of the most operationally experienced SAS men of his era, and I would say to that, and some. A proper decent bloke. Now I've known him for a number of years. Obviously, I served with him when I was in the squadron. A great guy, James Deegan. He's taken pen to paper. His account in here, okay, is a fiction. But I'm telling you now, if you want, it's the closest thing you'll get to a decent book written about the SAS right now, as far as I'm concerned. The language used in here, the stuff that he describes, the way he describes it, it's written through a set of eyes that really have been there, seen there, and more than once done it. I can tell you now, a phenomenal guy. And where it says on the back here by Stephen Lever, move over Andy McNabb and Chris Ryan. There's a new, what's it say? Move over Andy McNabb and Chris Ryan. There's a new SAS veteran writing thrillers, and he's good. He's very good. I'm telling you now, all right? James Deegan, all right? This is his book. You can get this on Amazon. I'm going to be bunging links all over the place. I've read a few chapters of it so far. I'm going to give a proper review to this later on in the week when I've read a bit more. But seriously, a seriously good book. And I don't often get engrossed in books anymore, but this book is absolutely... It's a superb piece of work, right? It really is. And like I say, the geezer that wrote it, you would not get a more operationally experienced operator type in your life. I'm telling you now. A serious geezer. I really can't say enough in praise of the guy that wrote this book. He is a proper legend, as they call him, right? Okay, he is a proper legend. If the word legend was to be banded about, you would band it about around this man, all right? And I don't say that lightly. Okay, so there you go. So, James Deegan, Once a Pilgrim. Let me just hold up the cover once more. Don't forget, on Amazon. Okay, I don't know where else it's coming out, but it's definitely coming out on Amazon. It comes out this week. I'm going to review it properly later on in the week and let you know a little bit more about it without trying to spoil it for you. Okay, but seriously, the geezer that wrote that book, he is proper.
We should start up book club.
Okay, yeah, we will do. We will start up something. We were going to do something. I'm going to get Damien Lewis to do a review on that as well, who was my ghost writer. He's going to love it when he sees it. I'm telling you that now. So I'll get the thoughts of a few other people, you know, who are in and around the game and know these stuff. I'm telling you, it's an awesome. Just buy it, all right? Just get it. Get that book. However, all right, get it. It's a decent book. Right. So what did I do today? Today I went over to where did we go? Went to the South Bank in London, where Bob Curry. You all know Bob. He's recently hit the news for becoming homeless and not being treated probably in the way that he should have been. I think that it's going to be resolved. I think the councils are going to sort this out. Obviously, Piers Morgan's on the case quite heavily. He's got some great support. The regiment, to be fair, the Regimental Association have been paying his rent. He has been made loads and loads of kind offers. I've got to tell you, the public have really got behind him. And for me, when I spoke to Bob today, he's very keen that, you know, this highlights not just his plight. You know, we are fortunate in the regiment that whereby, you know, we do make news. Okay, people from the SAS do make news very, very quickly and very easily, more so than some other cap badges. And so Bob's very keen that other issues for soldiers are highlighted through his case. Okay, so that it starts resonating right throughout all the homeless lads, you know, all the guys that are suffering, you know, who've ended up doing prison sentences, all the guys who have issues with the third of my 3 R's, remember, recruitment, resettlement and retention. Okay, well, this is a resettlement issue, okay, and it's all too easy for a geezer to find himself in a lot of trouble very quickly. You get out, you're over exuberant, you do this, that and the other, before you know it, you've carried your character out in the civvy street, it's not working particularly well, you're not getting the employment you thought you were going to be, your social life goes down the pan, you hit the fucking drink, your missus doesn't want you anymore, you're out on your... Do you know the score? And it can happen very, very quickly, and it's no reflection on the guy's character. It's just, you know, it's one of those things. It can happen to any of us. You know, I myself, you know, lived in a caravan when I was getting myself back on my feet. It was very kindly donated through Facebook, I may add. You know, social media. Someone found me a caravan to live in London until I got myself back on my feet. So it can happen to anybody, and it really does happen. And when it does happen, it usually happens quite quickly. Okay, and before you know it, flash to bang time. And I know guys when they get themselves in trouble, usually, and very often they're too they're too proud to start saying stuff about it. They don't ask for help. They don't know where to get the help. They don't know where, and then all of a sudden you're in a right old pickle. And, you know, certainly the guys I spoke to on the homeless side of life, you know what I mean? One of them in particular I spoke to in Canterbury a few months back, a very, very, you know, articulate guy, very well mannered, very well polite, you know, a decent fella. He'd just fallen on hard times. His business had collapsed. His missus had left him, you know, and all of a sudden he's out on the street. He's too proud to take anything, so he gets his tent and he goes and lives in the fucking bushes until he can try and find himself something to do. We are not dealing with people here who are complete and utter fucking wankers, all right? Okay, we are dealing with people who at some stage or other in their life took the Queen's shilling and did a decent job for this country, okay? And let's not forget that, okay? Because everybody should be entitled to a second chance. I've had more than fucking one chance in my life and I still get given chances now. I'm extremely fucking lucky to be where I am today, okay? And it's my... I see it as something that I need to do is pass this stuff on, all right? And certainly when I spoke to Bob today, he's very keen that people sort of like, everybody who's having a hard time, sort of like, if want for a better word, cashes on his bad, cashes in with his bad luck, and we can try and raise awareness for everybody. Because until we start looking after our veterans properly, you know, it has an effect on everything. As I spoke to a friend of mine, General Newton, the other day, it has an effect on the recruitment, for instance. How can you know, when young lads are looking around and they go, well, fuck me, he just got dumped when he got out. He didn't even have a fucking house. He had mental issues. He had all these fucking problems and he just got dumped. No thanks, I'll swerve that when I'll go somewhere else to fucking find a career in life. It doesn't bode well for the recruitment of troops. Okay, so all across the board, we just need to start raising these issues and bringing them to a fore and nipping it in the fucking bud and getting these guys sorted out that have not had as great a run as some of us had when we got out, do you know what I mean? And like I say, there before the grace of God go I. It can happen to anybody at any time. It really, really can. It's amazing. You know, you can be sat in the boozer one minute having a great day, somebody pisses you off, next minute you fucking snotted them, you're remanded in custody, you're down the fucking nick, you know, your whole life's fucking falling apart, you come out, your missus don't want to know you anymore, you've had to register yourself as fuck, except you know where I'm coming with this, and you know that everybody who goes in nick isn't fucking bad. And like I say, when you come to a soldier who served his country, and you know at one stage in his life he was trainable, you know at one stage in his life he could hold a job down, so he's not all bad, okay? And that's what I'm trying to get at with this, is that, you know, we need to start, you know, helping a few of these geezers out. And some of them, like I say, they're very hard to identify because they are so proud. They don't want to be made a fuss over and all that sort of stuff. They just want to be sort of like, get themselves integrated back into whatever they're doing and give an account of themselves if they can. But they need a fucking hand, they really do. And like I say, there are plenty of successful guys when they get out of the military, and plenty of guys doing well, you know, and fair play to them and well done. But let's not forget the guys that don't do so well. You know, you wouldn't be doing a CFT and not pull the guy at the back of the fucking pack to the front, would you? You wouldn't do that, would you? All right, so in Civvy Street, it's the same fucking thing. We're running the same fucking race. It's called the race of fucking life. And there's some people flagging behind who shouldn't be fucking flagging behind, and sometimes it takes a fucking hand on their fucking Bergen strap to pull them back up to the fucking front and say, there you go, son, you're back in the fucking race again with the rest of us, all right? That's what it fucking takes. That's what I'm talking about. And that's the fucking sort of thing I want to see happening across the fucking board. And that's why I spend so much of my time doing this sort of stuff and talking about this and trying to get round people and promote various charities. I know, you know, you can only be a drop in the ocean, but if everybody was a drop in the ocean, we've soon got a fucking great big ocean, haven't we? Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get at. So there we go. So I'm not going to labour on that too much anymore, but like I say, Bob's had a particularly, you know, Bob's had his little blip in life. He's had a bit of an hard time, you know, and, you know, he's managed to get himself into a position where I'm sure within the very near future he'll be sorted out, and rightly so. And let's, you know, and I know he's keen to help out with other people. So I will be going up to Hereford at some stage in the next few weeks to see what the progress is there. It's at that stage that, you know, we'll have a chat about a few other things, maybe sit down, have a brew with a few of the lads, and do a show similar to this.
We're hoping to do it next week.
We're hoping to try and do it next week, yeah. So we'll see what can be done, but definitely we'll do that. So there we go. So I thought today we'd have a little bit of a Q&A about, you know, have you got any issues yourself? Throw me some questions in. Let's have a butchers at what's going on with you. Okay.
Before we go, Scott James said, Phil, can you give a shout out to Chaz? He's studying his exams to get into an officer school in Canada.
Chaz, if you're studying for your exams, son, You shouldn't be watching this, all right? So get your head down, put your nose in your book and get yourself ready for officer school, mate, because you're going to need that grey matter and all of it to get through that school. So do well and the best of luck from me, son. And please let me know how you're doing, Chaz, all right? So just let me know how you're doing, all right?
And Montana Tony says, can you say hello to Jake, please?
Montana Tony, Jake, of course I can say hello to you, my friend. How are you, Jake? All right? And hello, Montana Tony. I haven't seen you for a while either. So I'm due a trip down. I'm scared to come down to your place because I know you want to get me drunk. And he said, I know what you like. So you know that, don't you? Right.
No, he's not drinking.
I'm not drinking at the moment. No, not until I've lost a significant amount of weight. A significant amount, and not just a little bit. Okay, so let's have a look. What do you think about the Walt on SAS Who Dares Wins? Says Brian Case. Obviously, I mean, he's had a public bollocking about that, hasn't he? From Ant and the guys and Billy, you know, who were pretty horrified at what he's been. You got it. So long as he can see what he's done wrong and he's acknowledged it now, you know, I think you've got to try and bring him along. And you know, I don't know how it pans out, that programme. I'm not privy to, you know, the end of the show and all that sort of stuff. But you know, obviously he's going to get a bit of ribbing for what he said and what he's alluded to and all that sort of stuff. I mean, what a stupid fool trying to do that, eh? Pull the wool, you know, and then appear on a programme like that when you know they're gonna pick the peanuts out of his shit and scrutinise every last bastard. Do you know what I mean? So why would you want to go on there and be? He must be off his, or he just genuinely thought I'll never get caught for that. Well, there is a moral in that story, and Ant alluded to it today on one of his tweets. If you are lying about what you did, if you are lying about service, you will get caught out eventually. Like I say, you know, there's fellas across the board. I mean, I know people as far back as like Lofty, you know, there's guys, especially with the regiment, you know, one phone call to someone like James Deegan from me, and I can know within 10 minutes if you were there in the last fucking 30 fucking years in the regiment and all that sort of stuff. So it's very, very easy. It's a very small community. And, you know, no matter what you did or where you served, if you're going to lie about it, you will get found out eventually. And I guarantee that. If you're lying about what you did, you know, in whatever capacity, you'll get found out. That said, there is a difference between lying about what you did and supporting the regiment. And now, if I saw somebody with a regimental T-shirt on and I said, why have you got that on? And because I genuinely like the regiment, who am I to tell him to take it off? I've said this 1,000 times. I've supported Southampton Football Club all my life. I've had fucking numerous Southampton tops. I've never played for the club, have I? And that's the difference, okay? So if somebody's profiting from what they're doing, if somebody's gaining from what they're doing from their lies, that is extremely wrong. And in that case, he had, you know, actually had put on his fucking CV, and it turned out he'd been at depot for 2 minutes or whatever, and that was it. So that is wrong. If he can acknowledge that, if he can take that stuff down, if he doesn't do it again, he's all right. He deserves a second chance. If he does carry on doing it, he's a complete and utter screaming turbo twat. Okay, and then he needs dealing with, and that's it. Okay, so there you go. That's my thoughts on that one, my old friend. My word, batten down Hereford. So no, yeah, I am still allowed Hereford. Was a mention of Who Dares Wins today on news. A little girl was killed in Walsall Brown Hills. Our uncle. I did read about that, Martin. I'm not going to go into that. It's not for this show, to be honest. Although my thoughts are with the particular family involved. No one ever lies about being in the Navy. You do get. I remember speaking to a guy in a British Legion once, and he said, "I'm a chef." He said, and I'm probably the only one that's ever admitted to it. He said, he was an old fella. He'd obviously been in the war and all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? He said, "I'm a chef." He said, "I'm the only one from my entire unit that's ever been in the British Legion admitted to being a chef." And thinking about it, he probably was. Do you know what I mean? No one ever sticks around. Everyone's always a steely-eyed bringer of death, aren't they? And that's the way it is. David Cottrell's watching. Good evening, David. Jess Rowland's watching. Good evening, Jess. Andy Fannin. We've seen that. Thanks, Phil. No one ever lies about being in the RAF either. They shouldn't have to. They should be proud enough. There you go. Veterans Medal. Any thoughts, Phil? How many medals do they need to dish out, to be honest? It's the same as these Jubilee medals and all that sort of stuff. Should everybody have had them? Should nobody have had them? Why did they create them in the first place? Was it because the police didn't have any medals and they needed something to stick on their chest? I don't know. You can only guess. I wouldn't say no if somebody gave me another medal. I woun't be upset if they didn't give me another medal. Do you know what I mean? That's the way it is. I think, you know, I judge my time in the army with my memories, not by what I've got stuck on my chest. And I think the medals, everybody knows the medals that are worth something and the medals that just get given to everybody. So, you know, it's nice to be recognised. I get that completely, but you know, I don't know. It's a funny one for me. You know, medals was never a motive for me of why I joined. You know, it's nice to see guys getting the big gongs, the crosses, and all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? I love to see that. They earned them. Do you know what I mean? But giving medals away just for the sake of it, I don't know. You could say it's not just for the sake of it. It's, you know, anyone who, I know I think there was a reserve medal or something like that for reserve forces. You know, people have said to me there should be an SF medal. Anyone who went SF should get a medal. Anyone who went SF got a fucking cat badge. Do you know what I mean? They can be proud of. So, I don't know. Like I say, I'm neither for or against giving everybody another gong. It's not something that really crossed my mind, to be honest, mate. But if they want to give me another one, I'll stick it on there. Do you know what I mean? If they don't, well, like I said, I won't be offended by it. Phil, when you apply for SAS selection, do you have to do it all yourself, or does your CO from your regiment do it? And the process for selection is easy to adapt to, or is it mind-boggling? Okay, honestly, you have to put your paperwork in and you have to go through the chain of command as everybody else does. So you'll go on your platoon commander's interview, he'll fire you up to your OC will fire you up on COs, and hopefully somebody then will help you get your paperwork in. I think you do a briefing weekend now, and then if you get through that, you can have a place on selection. That's the way it works. How I understand, or certainly that was for a while. I'm not completely briefed on it now, and rightly so. I'm not there anymore. After that, is selection mind-boggling? Selection for me, it really was monkey see, monkey do. And if monkey sees, monkey does, monkey carries on. And if monkey doesn't see, monkey can't do what monkey is incapable of doing, monkey goes home. And that's as simple as it is, all right? So it really is. I'm not trying to undersell it, but then again, I'm not trying to put it to a point where I wouldn't want people to apply because they think it's totally out of their fucking reach. I'd like to see more people apply for selection. I think Special Forces is something that's well worthwhile doing. You know, no matter how long you spend there, you will have an experience of a lifetime. It's something that will absolutely change your life, and it's something I'd like to see a lot more people do. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that probably would be capable of passing selection who are put off by the horror stories. And where do the horror stories come from? They come from people who fail selection, okay? They're the ones who go back to the units and go, oh, hell, they did this, that and the other, and it was absolutely impossible. And that puts people off, okay? So I'd just like, any good infanteer who's fit, who's astute, who can map, read and navigate, is capable in my book of passing selection if he can apply his mind and if he really wants to be there. And I'd like to see a lot more guys going for selection and a lot more guys getting into SF. And I'm sure SF wouldn't turn them down if they could get them in. And that's as simple as it is. Should SF drop their standards? Absolutely no way, never, ever, not going to happen. I'd hate to see that happen. So there you go. Careful. He would be the coolest monkey in the jungle. He would be the coolest monkey in the jungle, wouldn't he? I know a guy, it took 40 years for him to get his Northern Ireland medal, says Martin. I'm sure there are guys out there who probably still owe medal now. I'm sure there's guys who've never collected their medals. That's the way it is. Bob Curry, we've covered Bob Curry. Chris, like I say, hopefully Bob's sorted now, or certainly will be sorted within the next few days. And let's hopefully, because Bob's raised the awareness to such a level of this issue of homelessness and all the rest of it, let's hope it can be used to help other guys sort themselves out as well. And like I say, there's plenty of guys out there, different cat badges, etc., who just only said it once tonight, who need help as well. So that would be a tremendous thing if it did lead to helping more people out. So that's where I'm with that. Any more questions coming in? Right, tomorrow night. What are we doing tomorrow night, Wendy? Am I here tomorrow night? Danny Lyons, hopefully.
Yes.
Danny should have been with me tonight. Hopefully Danny Lyons will be with me tomorrow. Danny runs a thing called Britannia Canine Security. I want him to come in and talk about dogs and that sort of stuff. Andrew, come here, my friend. Come on. I've got a treat for Andrew today. He's had his hair. Come on. What's this? What's this?
Come for food.
Come on. What's this?
Yeah.
No.
They're for the dog.
Come on. Here he comes. He's had his haircut today. There he is. There you go. So you have earned yourself a little bone today. There you go. You can have that. All right? You can have that.
Yeah.
Okay? He's also...
He won't eat it. He's got it.
He likes to run off with his bone. Will you just fucking let me go? I'll have the beer later. I'm just telling him about your beer, Andrew. Right, so there's his beer. There's Andrew's beer. Look. Bottom sniffer. You're a bottom sniffer. There you go. Right, I'll let him down. I can leave me alone. I want to go and eat your biscuit. Right, go on then, off you go. Go and eat your biscuit. bottom sniffer. There you go. Andrew's beer, bottom sniffer.
He looks lovely when he's had his haircut, don't you, baby?
Montana Tony, I can see you having a few bottles of that stacked up in your bar. I really can, bottom sniffer, and don't take that the wrong way.
Bottom sniffer.
Bottom sniffer, very nice. We need some genuine figures on vets homeless. I'd like to see some genuine figures. I'd like to see some real research done. I know there's a few guys out there pretending again to be veterans who aren't veterans. It's very easy to find them out almost straight away. They won't get their regimental number right, or there'll be something that gives them away straight away. And like I say, it's not just... There's people homeless for all sorts of reasons. The veterans are my main concern. But, when we stumble across people that obviously need help and they're obviously worth saving, anyone we can. But it's the veterans that are my main concern, to be honest, because I know, I have a vested interest with veterans. We come from the same supposed big family, the armed forces, and it's them who need looking after, like I say. So that's where I am. Bottom sniffer must have been brewed by a few dodgy MPs. Yeah, oh fuck. Could have been called Fart Catcher, couldn't it?
And Montana Tony said, definitely, what a nice bottom you have.
Very nice
does not have a nice bottom. I can assure
if you can get past the skin tags. Good, Bob. Bob isn't taking care of brothers. Good.
Kyle.
You look like you want to drink it, mate. I'll tell you what I will do. I might do later when I'm off my drinking ban. I'll do a bottle of that with Andrew. If someone's prepared to give me some money for charity. I don't know which charity yet, but we'll work out charity, and I'll do a bottle of that for charity. Not a problem. So we'll have a bottle of bottom sniffer, please. Imagine that, a bottle of bottom sniffer.
There's even picture of two dogs sniffing bums.
Great show, Phil, says Matt King. Thanks very much. Do I support the Kurdish people in the Middle East, mate? Have a look at Big Phil's War, make your own mind up. And you can still get that on Catch Up on Sky. So if you Google Big Phil's War, have a look at that, mate. You'll see all about what I think of the Kurdish people and how I interacted with them when I went out there. So, made a good film. Andrew has been to the hairdressers. He has been there. He's too busy looking good tonight to come on my show. And he's over there beasting his biscuit now. So
Ricky said, a friend of mine in Glasgow, Kenny Watson, is doing a great job in raising awareness for funds for the charity Soldiers Off the Streets. Give him a shout out, please.
Okay, there you go. Well, Wendy's just give you the shout out. Superb. Peter Laird, it has been announced today 5 military PSD centres are being closed down. They want charities to fund the lot. It's just like it's just one kick in the teeth after another, isn't it? With this stuff, especially when it seems that what I can't get my head around and what annoys me is the amount of money that this country just squanders, gives away and wastes on overseas aid where perhaps we shouldn't be giving as much or any at all in some cases, and we can't get the very people who've looked after us and given, massive sacrifice to this country, they can't look after them. And that I have massive issue with. Charity begins at home when it comes to your own troops and your own family and all the rest of it. So it's absolutely wrong that these people aren't being looked after, and it's something that I just can't let go. I'm like a dog with a bone with it at the moment. I'm just not letting go of it. I ain't going to let go of it. I'm going to keep going until they start looking after people, and show them the level of courteousness and decency and respect that they fucking deserve, all right? Because it's one of these things that's getting right on my nerves at the moment. Everywhere you look, the people that have done well, the people that have stood up for you, the people that have done right by you, are just shit on, and the people that produce and do nothing for us are elevated and given this, that and the fucking other to the point that it's just gone too fucking far for me, and it pisses me off. They seem to forget that most welfare officers staffing the field work end of the welfare are unpaid volunteers. To Sarah Shepherd, you're right. Gary Weaving, Royal Engineer, I'm in front of the Minister of Internal Affairs soon. Any message for Penny? Penny, sort it out, love. All right, get amongst these veterans' issues and let's get them sorted out. And let's look after the people that looked after us. Let's do it. Let's just seriously look after the people that looked after us. All right, that's as simple as it goes. I can't give her a plainer message. Let's walk on Westminster together, says Renzo Shadali. Do you know? Here's a spot for Phil for PM, Bernie Powell. It's all right, these protests and demos going on and all that sort of stuff, but I think something serious, it's got to up a level from that, because when you look at various marches in recent times, the FLA put about 70,000 people down that town and nothing really substantial came out the other end of it. And that's a massive shame for me. It's like they won't listen to you. It's like they don't want to listen to you. It's like they want to label everything before it's hideous at the moment. I don't know where the change or where the breakthrough's got to be made, but believe me, it has to be made. It has, and like I say, if it's going to take more protesting, etc., 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 there's the first one for the day. That's what needs to be done. I don't know what the answers are. I really don't. Phil, maybe one of the Rumble charities this year should be homeless vets charities. Sean Connolly, good idea. I shall put down a charity as a homeless charity today this year for the Rumble. Definitely, 100%. Done.
Phil Gower, you still haven't wished me happy birthday, you miserable gay.
Who's that? Who's that?
Paul Gower.
Paul Gower, happy birthday. I'm going to sing happy birthday to you now.
God.
I'm going to raise a glass of bottom sniffer. So what's his name?
Is it Paul Gower?
Paul Gower. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Paul Gower. And get some of this down your clacker because it fucking stinks. There you go, nice one. Anarchy. No, I don't think anarchy, Colin. Colin, you always can't say anarchy is not the answer on this one, Colin. Anarchy is probably best saved for when it's all gone completely south. Ivan Locke. They don't like the truth, Phil. They don't like the truth, no. And it's hard to get the truth across nowadays, and it's hard to get listened to, and it's very difficult to keep people on side. And so, therefore, you know, I don't have the answers at present, but I'm sure we'll get there eventually. Hopefully, Democrats and Veterans Political Party will change the wrongdoings on the. I think the Veterans Political Party that's that Trevor Nat's backing and all that sort of stuff. You know, I'm going to go down there and see what's going on with it. Surely, I am. I think they've got to. If you can, you've got to get a foot in the door. You've got to get in and see the right people. You've got to get in front of them. You've got to highlight the issues that you need highlighting. And it's, it doesn't seem when you go on these marches, they just don't seem interested in listening to what you've got to say. You can look. Okay, so the taxis did it last year. There was a massive. They brought the centre of London to a standstill. It was absolutely huge. The only way I found out about that was a couple of posts on social media, and my mum was actually down in town when all the carnage was kicking off, and she took a photograph of all this blocked traffic by these taxis. Now there was thousands of taxis down there, and nobody, the mainstream media were not interested in promoting it or in giving it any time whatsoever. So it's very, very, very difficult, and if you can't you've got to get it out to the masses. Now, social media now is helping do that, and I read a report the other day which put down the fact that we voted for Brexit down in part to social media, and the fact that it does reach the common everyday man, and they can start seeing what's going on. So I think between social media campaigns and all that sort of stuff, I think you can start winning votes and all that and all the good stuff to start getting people in these positions of ultimate power that will do something about it. But when I look around at the politicians that are actually there, how much willingness have they actually got to do what is right by what the majority of the people want? I don't know. It just seems a right mess to me. It really does, and I don't want to go too political because I'm not a politician. At the end of the day, I'd like to see the veterans looked after. That's my number one concern, is seeing the people that actually safeguard us being safeguarded themselves when they finish their duty. That's what I really want to see. Yeah, Deborah Holmes says the mainstream media won't cover anything unless it suits their agenda. That's right, it probably doesn't. Okay, Leif, I'm determined to get a hang of it. Missed out on that conversation. You and all your brothers in arms should be given respect you deserve. It would be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice to think that people would have... But there's people in this country who don't even appreciate what people have done for them. That's a fact as well. There was a bloke that mentioned respect for the troops here in the States a couple of messages ago. Sorry, it's a long one. I'd like to point out that our troops here in the States actually got respect. That you speak for our Congress wouldn't be freezing the wage of the armed forces right now because of political bullshit, and they need their support. Yeah, they do. The troops. Politicians are only interested in money in their pockets. They are, Alex, but I think eventually there has to come to a point where how can they gain any vote or respect of the people by doing what they're doing? It's just, the Brexit thing for me, I'll be honest with you, the Brexit thing for me, I don't think it probably, in terms of my actual personal life, made a massive difference whatever way it went. But you would go with whatever fucking people decided, wouldn't you? Go, right, well, they've decided to... And then look at all these whinging, moaning lunatics hanging on and dragging their feet and doing anything they can to reverse something. Democracy says that when the majority of people vote for something or want something, the majority... But we haven't got that. The majority hasn't got what it wanted. It's been completely stifled. And it's wrong. It's like, you can vote for what you want as long as you don't vote for that. You can have what you want as long as you don't do that. It's wrong. It's wrong. Well, don't get me started. The press said today, if we got problems against Russia, we should be able to cope militarily wise.
We wouldn't be able to cope militarily.
Oh, we wouldn't be able to cope militarily wise. False. I think you'd have to have a massive coalition. Yeah, you'd have to have a massive coalition and bundles. There'd be some fucking people shitting their pants in this country then, wouldn't there? Then they'd want their armed forces to turn out and every other bastard, wouldn't there? The Russians are coming, they've just mounted, they're on their way, they're through France, because that wouldn't take 5 minutes, would it? And they're trying to get across the channel. Imagine that sort of scenario now, like the Germans literally did try and, they wanted to get into the UK, didn't they? Imagine that now. And every swinging dick in town, they're ripping the railings down, turning it into fucking ammunition and all that sort of stuff. Would that happen nowadays? Or would we just capitulate and go, I'll tell you what, Mr. Putin, have the fucking lot? No, they fucking wouldn't. Not over my dead body, they wouldn't. They'd be calling on people like us then. They'd be calling on all those veterans, take up arms, grab the guns, quick, our lifestyle's being threatened. And that's the main problem. Because these people, these decision makers, their lifestyles aren't being threatened, they couldn't give a fuck. But once their lifestyles are threatened, they do give a fuck. And they would give a fuck. And they'd absolutely shit their pants, every last one of them. So let's hope they do roll over it. And let's hope we can resolve the British spirit thing with a Russian invasion. I'll fucking stand there and fight them. How about that? That's one way of doing things, isn't it? Jesus. Good on you, Wendy. Dean Dino's watching. John Doyle's watching. Luke Sargent. It's just all bent. You're right. Graham Lower. All our troops need backing. The respect they deserve. You're right there. Alistair McClellan. Most politicians are spineless spunk trumpets. A nice term there. I like that. I want a spineless spunk trumpet. Right. Yeah, and cleaning the most crystal chandelier and feeding the dog. Says Colin Trevor. Always manages to come up with something and usually fucking amazes me at the same time. Thank you very much, Colin. We appreciate and respect the veterans, Phil. Thank you very much, Philip Butworth. Martin Allen, the politicians are the problem. Left, right, support the left-wing groups opposing the good. It, like the us, are trying to promote. It make Martin. I'm not, like I say, I'm not no politician really, but I can see it's a mess. Rob Mills, NATO, Rachel Bunyan's watching. Good evening, Rachel. David Newenoff. He's watching. Ian Fowley's watching. Leona Mason. Whether you agree or not, our country puts others first before our own, and it's disgusting. Leona, you're bang on the money there. Okay, bang on the money. Ian Fowley. Good evening, Phil and Wendy from Ian and Emma. Good evening, Ian and Emma. Shepherd Castles. We cannot Brexit as we sold our country's infrastructure to European countries. We cannot leave because Europe owns us. Well, we've got to unown it, haven't we? We've got to take it back. That's what we've got to do. And giving France 40,000, fucking 400,000, whatever it fucking was, ain't going to help us. We need to fucking get amongst it and sort it out. Right, okay. Tomorrow, Tuesday, hopefully do some sort of cooking show.
No, you've got Danny coming.
I've got Danny coming. I might cook for Danny. How about that? We'll get some trough on for me and Danny. We'll have a nibbles night or something. I don't know. We'll do the show out in the kitchen because it'll give us a bit more room than my huge studio here. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. Don't forget, go out. Buy James's book. James is a serious, decent geezer. Please have a butcher's at his book. It's a great read. And I should be asking questions. No, I'm going to review it properly later on in the week. So please have a butcher's at that. Until later on then, thanks very much for watching. Awesome effort, all of you. Let's get amongst these things at home and let's help a few people out. And if you see something that's going wrong, don't just walk past it, highlight it, and let's do something about it, all right? Until tomorrow, who dares wins, and I'll see you all later on.